Welcome everyone. You are at Forever Forward, which is one of the monthly programs that I run here at Entrepreneurs Forever. And I'm going to share my deck and officially welcome and get you started. But let me just sort of set you up. We're going to do quick introductions with each other so we know who's in the room, which I think is always an interesting and fun thing to do. And then we'll do the presentation. And if there's time, I always write into it that we'll try to do breakouts at the end. Sometimes there's time and sometimes there's not. So we'll see how that all works out. So let's share screen. Somebody give me a thumbs up. You seeing that? That and my cat. Okay. Good morning. My name is Deborah Gallant. You are at a Forever Forward, sponsored by Entrepreneurs Forever. This is a monthly program that I've created that helps you check in with some of the basics of building a business. And today is part 2 of a 2-part series. And if you missed part 1, don't worry. We're going to recap part 1 and remind those of you who were here what we talked about. This is called Attract a Steady Stream of Ideal Clients. One of the topics I frequently hear people tell me that they struggle with is how to keep the phone ringing, how to keep the bells ringing, that somebody's walking into your shop, how to keep the email inquiries, how to keep getting appointments. And so that's how I came up with this topic today. So we'll do some quick introductions, tell you a little bit about Entrepreneurs Forever. I have found that I need to talk about upcoming programs before I start today's program because I never get around to doing it otherwise. It just always happens that I end and I'm like, oh, shoot, I meant to tell them that. We'll do the presentation and some sharing and some breakouts if we have time. So I'm actually going to stop sharing and call on each of you 15, 30 seconds. Just tell us who you are, where you're located, and what your business is, and that'll be a good start. Brenda Barnes, you're in my upper left, so you get to go first. Need to unmute. We all know this by now. There you go.
I'm Brenda Barnes. I'm from Uniontown, Pennsylvania. I own a day spa called Spa Faces.
Great. Very good example modeling it. Chris Courier.
Hi, I'm Chris Courier. I'm owner of CCM&A. I'm a marketing consultant with a boutique agency just outside of Pittsburgh in Sweden.
All right. And I love having marketers. So if I forget something, pitch in, Chris, because this is not a one-woman show. I always appreciate feedback. Kim Fleury, please introduce yourself.
Greetings, Kim Fleury here, soon to be retired PPS teacher. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have 2 businesses at the same time. Moving forward, I make homemade bone broth and gemstone jewelry. Pittsburgh, PA.
Thank you so much. John Ann, did I get it right this time?
Hi, everyone. I'm John Ann. It's named after my dad. And I am located in Mashpee, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. My business is a franchise. It's Pigmenta Permanent Cosmetics. We do microblading and helping add color to our face. Also, we do scar camouflage, which is my heart's content. That's where I want to focus my energy on, helping cancer patients or cancer survivors, I should say, anyone from an automobile accident right to birth defects.
Thank you so much. Welcome. Teresa.
Hi, I am Teresa Rogers. I run a custom interiors workroom. I work mostly for interior designers and I manufacture draperies and custom bedding, and you can kind of see my workroom in the background there. So I make stuff for people.
That's great. And I actually am a huge fan of people showing behind them because it's like that reminder of who you are and in your Zoom box. So that's good. Cindy Berselli, one of our regular Cindys.
Hi, Cindy Berselli, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Fine arts. I do mostly pet portraits and animal paintings.
Great. Sabrina Nash.
Good morning. I'm Sabrina Nash. I am here in Pittsburgh. Good morning, Miss Flurry. We work together at PPS. I host chartered bus tours to wineries, which is more about the experience and actually less about the wine.
Great. Sesu? Cece, that's what we call you, Cece? Can you unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good morning, everyone. I am Sister to Guadalupe, a mobile, insured, and licensed manicurist. I offer manicures and pedicures. I'm also located in Chatham. Thank you for having me.
And I think Cece is another new member of our Cape Cod group, right?
Yes, I am. I don't know if I'm in the right place because I got the email and I just registered.
Yeah, you're in the right place. It's all
All right,
good.
then. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right. My other regular Cindy, welcome. Cindy Underwood.
Good morning, all. I apologize for my video. The power is out, so my background doesn't look that great. I'm a small business consultant in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area.
Great, welcome. Keith Lisk.
Where's my picture?
It's not up there.
It's okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
The picture, we can hear you just fine.
I'm Keith Lisk. I'm in Ligonier, Pennsylvania. My business is American Graffiti Signs, and we do all kind of different outdoor signs, electronic displays. And about 6-7 years ago, we got into epoxy pouring. So now we're doing epoxy pouring on countertops, bar tops, any types of surfaces.
Cool, thank you. And Elaine Freitas. Elaine, are you in a place you can talk? All right. I know at 8:30 in the morning, sometimes I get people driving their kids to school and stuff. So I appreciate all of you being here, and we're gonna hop right in. And while I'm the presenter, as I said, if you have thoughts or examples, I highly encourage you to hop in and talk about them, because we're all going to learn from each other, which is what we do in our groups. And now you can see that I've completely lost the
What happened?
Something happened.
You need to mute yourself again.
the
I
presentation.
don't know
There
if
we
she
go.
has, I don't know if
Right.
she has to leave and come back in, or we have to leave.
I'm sorry. I'm going to mute you, Kim, because I don't know what we're talking about. Okay. There's the session if you need to join us, but I think most of you are members. The next 2 sessions. Creating a replicable sales process is 1 month from today, and I have an outside presenter helping me with that one. And next Monday is how small business can use artificial intelligence. Now, you might think, I'm a sign maker, I'm an artist, I'm a bone broth brewer. How can artificial intelligence possibly have anything to do with me? You would be surprised. And I have an expert coming in who's going to talk about how a small business that's not technical can use artificial intelligence in their business. And I'm expecting it to be really informative for me, because I'm a little bit, I don't know, put off by the idea that some robot somewhere can do my job. But if it can help me do my job better, I'm open to it. So that's what we're going to be talking about next Monday at 4 o'clock. Today's topic: attracting a steady stream of ideal clients. So last month, we did, who is my ideal client? Were any of you here for that one? Cindy Berselli, tell me what you learned about who's your ideal client. What did you learn last month? Anything? This isn't putting her right on the spot.
I would have reviewed my notes had I known you were going to call on me. I do believe we helped to identify that, and we had a little form we went over after the presentation. And it really did help me to clarify, because I don't think I kind of knew that, but I hadn't really focused directly on it. So it was surprising for several people in the group to find out, I think, who their ideal client really was. And it helps to aim your marketing and your energies toward that group instead of spreading it all over.
Perfect. Wow, pretty good considering she didn't even know I was going to call on her. Sabrina, I see you raised your hand.
Exactly what she said, but it also made me think about opportunities to chime into repeat customers and expand on them as ambassadors or promoters, because we talked about your ideal client as someone who is they would repeat, they have the disposable income, but they're your natural cheerleaders. And so it started making me think, who are those people who are my repeat customers, and how can I tap into them as a kind of marketing resource?
Excellent. Wow, you guys are terrific. I didn't even tell you that you were going to have to be tested on what you did. So I'm actually attaching a copy of what we did last month. So those of you who were here last month would have gotten it already. It's just a copy of the ideal client worksheet. But I'm also going to attach this month's worksheet, which is going to take us to the next level beyond it. So you'll get 2 handouts. The second one is the one actually for today, but for those who were not here last month, I wanted you to be able to get both of them. So let's go back here. All right, got to do my disclaimer. This presentation does not take the place of professional advice. But as some of our folks chipped in, an ideal client pays full price, buys from you repeatedly. I love what you said, Sabrina. It's like, you don't have to convince them. They're already a loyal customer. They stay with you for a while. They value what you do, and they're evangelists. They refer others. They're the people, Cindy, who put up the portrait of their dog in their living room and then hand your card out to everybody who walks in because they say, you need a portrait of your dog. You want as many of those people as you can find. John Ann, I know that if somebody has been walking around with a visible scar and they don't have that scar anymore, and people say, wow, you look great. Wouldn't it be great if at that point they pull your card out or they offer a QR code? John Ann did this for me. Here's who you talk about. You want to have a full business with these people. And today, what we're going to do is say, all right, if we figured out next month's worksheet to have the opportunity to look at it so that it says my internet connection is unstable. I'm just hoping we stay in here. I live in the country. I'm sure some of you do as well. You're kind of at the risk of what it is. So hopefully we'll be okay here. So last month's worksheet is attached, and then this month's worksheet, which sort of recaps at the top what we're going to do. Some people like to print things out. I'm actually a printing out person myself, but if you want to just use it online, it should be a fillable form. So if you have this month's and not last month's, just write in, if you were here last month, you should remember it. Who is your ideal client? Their age, their gender, maybe that matters or doesn't. For Cindy, it's probably a pet owner with disposable income who lives within driving distance of Pittsburgh, because that's who she deals with. Whatever it is, for John Ann, it has to be people within driving distance of where she is in Cape Cod who have been through something that has scarred them and that they might be open to the kind of repair. So you need to think about, for your business, who that ideal person is, because as Cindy said, until you figure this out, all your marketing is wasted, because you can't target the message and then the channels to reach them until you figure that out. So age might be relevant, might not. Gender might be relevant. Although, Cindy Berselli, do men hire you for pet portraits, I bet it's women. No, men do. Let's see, my gut's wrong on this. You're muted still. Muted.
Sorry, the one I'm working on recently, it's for his wife's birthday, so yeah, they do.
It's for a woman.
Correct.
But you need to start to dive in this process of the psychology. And what is this person's number one burning problem? So for that husband, it was, what can I get that will really touch my wife and, speak to her emotionally? I actually have, this is sort of a random story. I have an uncle who basically has cornered the market on antique ticker tape machines. You can literally Google him, vintage ticker tape machines. He comes up. He's really the only one. He creates the market on it. Anybody want to guess who the customer is and what that person's number one burning problem is? I'll be fascinated to know if you guys could figure this out. Who buys an antique, and they cost $3, $5, $10, $15,000. They're not cheap. Who buys an antique ticker tape machine, which by the way, doesn't work anymore? Anyone?
Museums,
Nope.
collectors.
Collectors is a start. Anyone?
Well, that could be anyone from a banker to somebody who likes antiques, has
You're
them
getting
in their
there.
home.
So here's who buys antique ticker tape machines. Committees of people who need to buy an expensive, like a retirement present or a present for a big birthday for people who, just what you said, John Ann, who are business executives or bankers. So if you're the person who's tasked with buying the retirement present for the president of Morgan Stanley, your budget is $15,000. Are you price sensitive? Not at all. What do you care about? That it looks good, that it makes a great impression, and that it gets delivered safely. Understanding who the buyer is and why they're buying from you is hugely important. Now, is it as easy to figure that out for somebody who buys bone broth? Maybe not. But on the other hand, it's somebody who has some appreciation for nutrition, not a vegetarian, right? Because they're not buying bone broth. They need to live in a place that you distribute it to. So helping to think about the purchase that your customer makes, your ideal client, that person that you really want to have a whole roster of them, understanding the business or the personal problem that they're solving and how they make the purchase decision. So in the case of my uncle and his ticker tape machines, it's some corporate, HR person. Do they have a committee they have to go to? Probably not. It's like, go buy the gift. We don't care about it. Cindy, how hard was it to sell to that husband? Probably pretty easy if he had a budget that he could afford it, right?
So it was very easy. Yes.
Anybody else have thought about this purchase decision?
Well, I have, but I do believe I said last week that the women, mostly women, that are using my my services, they have disposable income. Or if they are on, utilizing the family account, they're able to purchase my services without somebody complaining. So it's basically that their money is not an issue.
But do you think that they check in with their family members and their husbands or partners to say, honey, do you think I should spend this $1,500?
No, they don't.
Because it matters that much to them.
Exactly.
That's great.
And they've already been doing, that's also a portion of my, ideal client, is these women have already been keeping themselves up. Let's say they're already continuing their youthful look, or they're already spa members. They play tennis. They're in golf country clubs. They're used to that pampered lifestyle.
That's great. No, it's wonderful that you've identified that. Chris and then Sabrina.
So the funny thing is, I do this exercise with my clients a lot, but I don't do it for myself. And part of the things that I haven't quite gotten there yet is just kind of like combination of my background and where I am now. I've spent most of my career at like big agencies, so I'm used to working with corporate budgets and things like that. Where I might be talking to someone, in the corporate world, if I'm talking to someone about like a $75,000 website, it's almost like it's no big deal. But when I'm talking to small business owners and things like that, that's obviously like huge. So I'm trying to figure out how to scale my experience down into like a different endeavor. I mean, I for lack of I don't want to sound boastful or anything, but like just hearing the different businesses that are on this call, I mean, I literally could sit with each of you and talk about and figure out those kind of things and help you market. It just comes down to trying to identify what that ideal client is for me, because I like to help people, and so I hear all these different situations, and I want to go to action.
You want to
Towards
fix
something.
everybody because you can, but the reality is that your mortgage, the bank that holds your mortgage wants you to actually get paying clients. And Cindy, as much as she might really bond with you and know that she needs a new website, isn't budgeting $75,000. It wouldn't make sense.
Right.
You need to sort of figure out where that sweet spot is for you, where you can give, but they can pay, right?
Yeah.
Sabrina?
So I finally identified my problem. It's for women who are looking for a curated experience. They're busy during the week, they're taking care of families, and so they want someone to take care of the planning.
That's beautiful. And I will tell you that as a person who fits that demographic, when we go on vacation, we go on these backroads adventure vacations. And my very favorite thing about them is they're frictionless. That once I show up, they take care of everything. And that makes me, as the person who always has to do the detail planning, so happy and so ready to write a check to do it, or, put my credit card down. So I think you've identified something really important there, Sabrina. All right, we are going to dive into doing this exercise. So hopefully you filled in something in that ideal client box. So whether for John Ann, it's that woman with disposable income and a scar. For Cindy, it's either the pet lover herself, or maybe someone buying a gift for the pet lover, which is actually a really interesting and cool niche, in the same way that my uncle's ticker tape machines are, right? It's a gift for somebody. I will admit to having paid for a pet portrait of our two home cats for my daughter, who's 27. So when she moved away, she still had a picture of her cats. Yes, I'm that sentimental. Okay, so this is really why you need to do the ideal client identification first. If you don't know who you're talking to, then when you put your marketing message together, you're talking to no one. You're talking to the ether. You're talking about your own benefits rather than starting with why are they buying from you and showing that understanding of their decision purchase. Because until you can get into their psychology, the messages you're putting out there are just noise. Does that make sense? All right. You have to remember to lead with their problems, their issues, and how you solve them. And honestly, if I went back to how you all introduced yourself, some of you got right to that in your introduction. And John Ann, I'm going to actually compliment you and call you out because I think you did that really well. Helping people understand what the problem is that you solve right from the beginning helps them to understand if they're your ideal client or if they know people who are your ideal clients. So Chris, I'm going to push you as the marketer. What's the problem that you're solving for your ideal client in your marketing business? Muted.
It comes down to they need to connect with their customers to convince them to be in the consideration set when it comes to purchase time.
So is it people don't know you exist? Is it, I mean, what's the problem that gets them up in the middle of the night? It's like, I'm not getting enough TikTok views. What is that thing that is bothering them?
I mean, ultimately, it comes down to sales, right? So more often than not, the people I'm working with, they, have businesses, and so they're looking to generate leads and cultivate them and get them to purchase.
So not enough of their prospects are showing up to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you
Yeah.
need to make sure that you then tell them how you're going to solve it. Because there's lots of people out there who'd say they're going to solve that problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Somebody else who hasn't talked. How are you solving your clients' problems? Brenda, how are you solving your clients' problems? You need to unmute.
In my industry, it's about beauty, how we make them look and feel. As far as purchasing on the sheet, if it doesn't work, they're not going to purchase it. So we have to make sure that we're supplying them with their needs as far as the product lines, the ingredients, staying on track of all that.
I wonder, and I'm just riffing here because I don't know anything about your business. This reminds me of a marketing issue that happened. I don't know how many of you are as old as me, so you probably don't remember this. But in the olden days, there was this whole I want my MTV campaign to get cable penetration. So what would happen is nobody had cable TV back in the 80s, and they did the I want my MTV to get the kids to make the parents get a cable box. You're not trying to convince somebody they need a cable box. You're trying to get them to change channels. You're in a different place in the decision making. So I think the issue for you would be differentiating yourself from other people who do what you do. So you'll feel safe, you'll feel comfortable, you'll be happy with the results, because you're not going to convince somebody to be a new spa goer. Because very few people, I bet, who walk in your door have never been to one. What you're trying to get them to do is to become regulars and to feel like this is their warm, comfortable hug where they can get their services. Does that seem more resonant?
Yep.
Yeah. Did I see another hand? Was that Kim?
Yes, I do have my hand up. So with my bone broth, after being in education for 30 years, I still have a loyalty to the teachers, and I understand keeping your immune system, the germs we came in contact with. So with my bone broth, it's hard to narrow it down because it's those who are trying to stay healthy or those that are already ill as a nutritional supplement.
Good. Anyone else? Keith, how do you solve people's problems? One of the things I heard with your epoxy thing, I don't really know what epoxy does or what the problem is that epoxy solves.
Well, it doesn't really solve a problem. What it is, it's just a way to create a custom surface. So, compared to buying granite, marble, quartz, things like that, real stone, the ideal of the epoxy is to create it's artwork, to create the look of granite or for a third of the price.
Okay, so let's workshop that for a minute. If you have, and you do have, right, because you have all these people who are in your area on the call, so these are all potential customers, how could you say what you just told me as your elevator pitch instead of now I do epoxy pouring? It's like, when people are putting in a countertop and they want to look for a creative alternative that's more affordable and could be so much more beautiful than granite or marble or whatever, you see how you have to turn it around. It's not about you and now I do epoxy pouring. It's now they're customers with this problem who I can help. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Was there another hand up? I'm not very good at managing the hands when I'm presenting. No? Cindy?
Yeah. So what, help me with mine if you don't mind. I would, I don't see people looking for a pet portrait as having a problem. That's my problem.
Okay, I'm going to call on Chris, marketing expert. What's the problem Cindy's solving with her pet portraits?
Thank you.
That's all right.
I mean, you kind of spoke to it a little bit before. You're looking for that emotional connection to your pets, so, obviously, they make for wonderful gifts. They make for wonderful remembrances. So it's just a matter of, it's a heartfelt type of gift that, even though they are kind of common, but it's a little bit more personal than just a photo, right? So like it's, someone has taken the care and time to, put like a very creative endeavor down on the page and, operates as a wonderful gift. So it is kind of hooking into that emotional connection between a person and their pet.
See, I wouldn't even think of it as a problem she's solving.
Yeah. No.
It's oh, my mind was just spinning while you were talking, because we as entrepreneurs or having a product or a service to offer, we're not necessarily always solving a problem. We're introducing maybe a new way of life, or maybe for the woman who's talking about the pet portrait, I would change your thinking. Instead of saying problem, how can I enhance this memory? Or how can I, think of it as a loving gesture? And the gentleman who's speaking, Chris, yes, I agree that, the painter is actually giving time and energy and love into that portrait.
Yeah,
So
I
it
think
really isn't a problem.
Well, it's a little bit of a problem if what we're doing is positioning it as a gift, right? It's like, what's the most memorable, loving, emotional heartstrings thing that you could offer to your spouse? It's like, that's pretty darn special. And it's done by a real painter. It's truly art that you would hang in your home. And I think that there's a heartstring. So it might not be a problem like having a scar on my cheek that I need to get covered, which I get what it is you do. And for Kim, it's like people who might be sick and need the nutrition. That's a problem. But it's still, there's something there. And if you can't find the emotional draw that makes somebody want to come out and pull out their checkbook, even Sabrina, it's like, is it really a problem that I'm solving by going on a wine tour on the weekend? It is a little bit, because it's my feeling like I'm not maximizing my leisure time and it's too much hassle for me to do a planning. So if you can bring that all together, that is solving a problem. Anybody else want to talk about their messaging and the problem they're solving at all? Okay,
Thank all of you. Thank you.
Teresa?
So what this is making me wonder is if the problem I'm solving is the problem I want to solve. So I work for interior designers primarily, but they work for the client that wants the window treatments. They're solving that problem. In my current location, the problem I'm solving is that all these interior designers are trying to deliver the jobs all within a 3-month period of May, June, and July. And so what my value add has been is great time management and being able to do this and getting people on board, but it doesn't create a year-round business. And the problem I'm solving is their lack of proper planning, which I don't think I want to solve in the long run. So I guess the real problem I want to be solving is helping people create the beautiful interior spaces that they want, but not on a by the time the guests arrive July 4th type of schedule. I want it to be something that is in their life all the time.
Does that mean you have to stop selling to these designers who overpromise on deadline?
Well, that is an interesting question. One I will consider. They've been my primary bread and butter for the 26 years I've been in this business, but it's become frustrating.
Or maybe it's time to expand beyond them and be willing to work with the DIYer who doesn't start thinking about it till she shows up at the house on June 15th and goes, oh, I don't really like those pillows anymore, and doesn't need to use the designer, and then you get a more steady stream of business.
Right. But I also don't want those people to show up June 15th and be like, I want this, and I want it in 3 weeks. They need to understand that there's a line.
Yeah, no, I think that the reason you go through an exercise like this is to check in with, are you doing the business you want to do with the people you want to do it with? And, but you've been doing it for 26 years, so it might be frustrating, but it sounds like it's profitable. There was another hand that was up. I'm sorry, I can't see it.
I think that's fine. Cece.
Hi, Cece.
Oh, I offer convenience to my clients by bringing my services to them. The problem that I'm solving is that they don't have to plan when to leave the house, if they're gonna get parking, find babysitters, or if they have dogs and they can't leave them alone. I bring my services directly to them, and my services are tailored. Everyone is becoming more health conscious now, so people are into whether since I offer tailored services, people get to choose whether they want salt scrubs, whether they want sugar scrubs. If people want, I don't give them what I have, I give them what they want. So most people will have a certain polish color that they want, exactly that color. I am open to buying that color as long as it's in advance. So I believe they get what they want, instead of them walking into a salon and just having to choose from a certain polish rack variety. If they want a certain color, I provide that for them. Whatever it is that they want, whether they want hot towels, they don't want hot towels, So I offer convenience and safe and professional nail care service. I think that's what I'm solving. And for the seniors, obviously, I'm solving the problem. For them, it's a health issue, so they can't cut their nails. So I think that's the problem I'm solving or trying to solve.
No. It sounds like you figured that out pretty well. That's great. So the thing about this messaging that you're doing is that you need to make sure that your business has the name that reflects that, the tagline to describe it, colors, logo type. This is where Chris comes in. You might need outside help. He's here getting help because it's hard to do this for yourself. Sometimes you need somebody to help you focus on it. For a copywriter, a graphic designer, a web designer, someone to help you figure out your social media. If you want to be out there, so Keith wants to start doing more epoxy work, he needs to figure out, does that need a different brand than his main brand? Does he need, samples and before and after pictures? Does he need to show the range of colors? How is he going to communicate that? And it might be to a different audience than for his signs, because somebody's redoing their home, they are probably either working with a designer or a contractor or somebody like that, which is different than a sign maker who's making it for a business to business application. So,
but sometimes they can go together. I actually just finished a big cafe bakery where I did the signs, and I also did all the tabletops, countertops part. So I was able to do a whole package. That's what I'm really want to try to start doing is combine the two.
Well, it's great if it can, but if this epoxy thing is profitable, then that might be a different market that you want to look at. So I want you all to write down your key marketing message and value proposition in the blank on the worksheet. So what is so great about you for your ideal client? I might have mentioned this one before, but I was in a a workshop I was running for therapists, and one of them introduced herself as saying, I treat garden variety mental health problems. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm awake in the middle of the night, thrashing with a problem, I don't think, oh, I have a garden variety mental health problem. You know, it's depression or trauma or grief or something. Knowing who you are helping and making sure that your message is strong. Now, let me make this point. Maybe that therapist who does treat people across a wide variety can help lots of different people. However, you still want to go out with your marketing message for the people who are the ideal customers. You want to look for them, you want to message for them. You can still do work for someone else. Cindy can still do, you know, quickie portraits at the PetSmart on a Saturday afternoon if she wants to just get some cash. That's okay. But what you'd really like are $1,000 custom orders. You want bigger orders. You want to shoot for your ideal clients. So once you've figured that out, then those messages can go out in lots and lots of different ways. And they go out in ways you might not have even thought of. Has anyone ever had a plumber or a contractor show up at your house looking like awful? Like, I don't want to let that person out of their truck. They're sitting in the truck, they're smoking, the truck looks dirty, they're not wearing a uniform, they're not official. That's part of the branding of that contractor or that person who's delivering it. Everything that touches the customer experience needs to be thought out. Does anybody else have that experience? Like, you look at that person and you go, Western Exterminating might want to rethink the clothes that they put on their people or their trucks. Everything about their brand is reflected in that person and how they behave and what they look like. In the same case, your choices of channels and how you reflect yourself to your ideal clients is all comes into play. So hopefully you've seen an image like this before, but this is the funnel of how people come to know you. First, they have to know you. So this is what Chris was talking about. It's like, if you're not part of the decision set because they never heard of you, well, then you're out of luck. They're not going to ever buy from you. But after they know you, they need to like you. They need to trust you. Then hopefully they try it or, you know, sample it in some way. Then they buy. But what you really want are the refer returns. And you have to have a lot of people coming in at the top to get to those buyers, referrers, and returners. And it takes more than one touch. Chris, I wonder if you have heard what the number is for the number of impressions you need to hit somebody before it actually sinks in.
It can range from 7 to 12.
I've heard 14.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge number. People need to constantly hear from you. This is one of the reasons email marketing can be a really great way to get in touch with someone, because even if they just see you in their email inbox, I count that as a touch, right? Oh, look, Deborah sent me an email. So Entrepreneurs Forever is at the top of my mind. So thinking about how you're going to bring different things to bear, and it's not one channel. You can't just decide I'm going to do TikTok. It's a whole bunch of things, and this is figuring out what channels are going to reach your ideal clients. So we're going to go back to the head, the brain of the person that you want to sell to, and think, how did they find me? What's brought in my best customers, and how do I do more of that? Because whatever's working, you want to do more of it. So on your worksheet, I want you to think about media channels that you want to explore to bring in your ideal clients. Media channel could be public relations. It can be social media, Facebook. Okay, I see some hands raised. Who wants to ask a question?
No, I was just going to comment, Deborah. We use LinkedIn a lot for our social media. We actually have a social media manager. My daughter does it for us, and we do a lot of outreach. We do interviews. We do small business shout outs or those sorts of things to get more and more exposure. So we do a lot of outreach through that platform.
Great. Anyone else?
So I have found that my ideal clients come to me first with that I have identified them because I know what I'm looking for, that I have called them, that I have sent a follow-up email, that I have directed them to my website and my Instagram.
How did they find you at first?
I find them. They do not find me. I find them.
Tell me what that means, that you found them.
I go online, I find interior designers in my area, whatever it is, like 2 hours away from me, people that I think are, they have a website that reflects what I'm looking to do. And then I reach out to them directly. It might border on harassment, but I like to call.
No, actually, Teresa, it's a great model of someone who does not need broad marketing, because yours is extremely targeted to designers who are within that driving distance, who are at a high enough price point with their clients that they can afford to downstream outsource to you. And that's brilliant. And it also saves you a ton of extra energy spent in talking to the ether, because one of the big problems with media channels is there's this bright, shiny object thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to go post pictures of puppies to get likes. If it doesn't bring in paying business, it's just a bright, shiny object. I love that. Was there another hand up?
Mine is definitely word of mouth. That is key number one. Actually, in the spa that I have taken on space is brand new for me. I did comps for the estheticians that work there. And there's one esthetician in particular who has been actually going through the phases of healing. Now, this is for the permanent makeup. And whenever a new client that comes in, or a client comes in for the spa treatments, and they notice me there, this one esthetician will stand up and she'll say, now look, I'm on day, what is it now, 16, and look at this results. And she'll be able to go through her phone and quickly show pictures of day one. Yeah, so word of mouth.
I'm getting there to referral partners, and sounds like she's a brilliant referral partner.
Oh my God.
I love that. But I wonder if the lesson here is, if what you're doing is different than what they're doing at other spas, could you be making an impact with estheticians and those other spa owners, even offering them a percentage of the sale if people come through?
I have tried that, and I've talked with many, many spas. Now, Cape Cod is my territory, so I have not been shy and stayed in one town or one village. And you'd be surprised on how many doors close. Like, because I'm not able to get in to the, like, just say the owner, I'm unable to describe what happens in my clinic. A lot of these other places that do permanent makeup, they're very similar to tattoos, and they use machines. We don't. So I don't even get the chance to get in there and say, it's quiet. All you'll hear from my technician is conversation. So, I mean, I haven't closed that door 100%, but, and I have offered actually offered referral cash.
Yeah, so we're going to go right to the last element, which is referral partners.
Sorry.
There are people who are already talking to your ideal client. They're hopefully non-competitive, although, as you point out, not everyone understands or is willing to understand. I remember going to a BNI meeting when I lived in California, and there was a woman who was like an intuitive healer, and she considered herself a business coach, and she asked me not to join her group because she was a competitor. I'm like, I don't see what I do as being competitive with being an intuitive healer, but she did. The right people won't feel competitive with you. They'll be complimentary. There are win-wins, and the right people will get it. So here's some examples. And I knew a group in California when I lived there that actively met every week, and or I want to say every month, and had divorce professionals. If someone is going through a divorce, they need lots of support. They might need a mediator or a lawyer. They might need a therapist. They need a financial planner. They're probably going to sell their place and buy a new place or rent a new place. And what would happen with these referral partners is, if your therapist said, this financial planner is really great for women going through divorce, do you think they interviewed 2 or 3 other financial planners? No, they did not. It was the kind of like a gold standard, and the kind of referrals they were getting were unbelievably useful. So on your worksheet, I encourage you to think of 2 kinds of referral partners you will cultivate. And right offhand, I see that Chris Courier and his marketing services do not compete with Cindy Underwood and her financial planning services. And you're both selling to small businesses. So there's a connection that you can make right away. So Teresa Rogers, probably, if you haven't already, I don't know, realtors would be pretty interesting if you're looking for direct customers. I mean, you just need to think about who are the people who won't be threatened by what you're doing. Maybe stagers, I don't know, people like that, who will say, that's an interesting compliment to what I do. I'm already talking to some of those same customers, and let them help you do what you do.
I had a crazy aha moment where I met a storage facility owner at a networking event who was able to direct me to all of the interior designers who were using the most space in his storage facility.
I love that.
Never would have occurred to me.
And until you start the conversations, you just don't know where it can go. So I encourage you each to put on your worksheet at least 2 kinds of referral partners that you could cultivate, and think about how you're going to do it. Elaine?
Hi, sorry, I wasn't able to get in the beginning. I do have a question, because one of my could be my biggest referral, and I'm not being able to reach to them. And if anybody would have an insight. So as a photographer, I specialize in maternity, newborn, and women. And so for me, a big referral would be like the doctor's office. But I've tried, even with my OBGYN, to give my card, but I can never reach to the people who are the head of the clinics. I can't reach them. I can't reach to the hospital. So, I mean, if they could talk about my service to the pregnant women about, maternity or newborn, it would be a big thing, but I'm like stuck in that.
So my thinking about what you're doing, and I'll share that, and I'll see what the people in the group are, is that potentially the head of a clinic is too high up. That's actually not a person who's going to ever be thinking about it, and probably isn't talking that much to the pregnant women themselves. But a doula or a nurse in the labor department. I mean, if you could get to the people who are, I know that Terry Almquist, who's in another group she has a studio in Haverhill, just started doing hot yoga classes, prenatal and postnatal yoga classes. Getting somebody like that who's seeing the pregnant women, not in a doctor way, but in a more humane way, might be a much easier way in. And I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on that.
Thank you, though.
I was actually thinking that usually if someone has, if someone's pregnant or about to have a baby, they also have other kids. So maybe you might want to, I don't know, like day camps where people are putting their kids into camps, reach women that way.
I may have a couple of suggestions for you, Elaine. My wife just wrote this down and handed this to me. Maternity shops, event centers, host baby showers.
So what would be the form of marketing? Like, do I have to do a flyer and leave at those places? Do I leave my business card? So I'm trying to decide how do I, like, what kind of form?
In my mind, it has to include the pictures. John Ann?
I was going to say all of the above with what she had. Yes, because I mean, that's how I started off. I wasn't even opened, and I started going around to all the villages here on Cape Cod, and I had a little tiny little goodie bag with some chocolates in it and a ribbon with my business card attached to it. And I just went to everyone. And then gradually, as I opened, I had before and after pictures. So now I have a trifold brochure, and people have asked me to leave multiples, you know, so I put them in their displays.
Okay.
Anything that you think is going to help your business is one, even if you get one client out of a business card of 100 business cards, it's worth it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, another kind of out of the box type of thing. I don't know if you've considered, just talking to like coffee shops and things like that to see if they can hang some of your photography. Obviously, having a business card or something that's, kind of some kind of placard around it. Yeah, I got an ice cream shop that's 2 blocks away from me. I've actually purchased, some artwork from them, like through that. So it's, again, out of the box and different, but kind of to the point where, you do have to do like a little bit of trial and error. Uh, Deb mentioned B&I groups. I know B&I groups. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but assuming that you have some groups around you, just kind of connecting. They're always looking for visitors to uh, you know sit in and talk about what what you can provide to the to the group and things like that. They'll end up asking you to join, but that's also like a great referral source. I mean, basically you join a group and it ends up being, you have a group depending on how big you're meeting every week, and that whole know, like, trust thing definitely happens. And it always becomes, you hear someone and you're like, oh yeah, I have a person that does photography, or I know someone that does taxes, and it becomes a good referral source that way.
I would say, Elaine, that whatever you do, I have found this to be an amazing, I'm trying to figure the word. There's been great adoption of QR codes, that I would create a portfolio video that shows what you've done and have it a QR code attached to it, so that whatever marketing you do, if people go, oh, who's Elaine? What does she do? That they can go and instantly see the work that you've done. Because in my mind, all they need to, if your work is as excellent as I'm sure that it is, seeing it will bring up those emotions. And in the same way that Cindy's pet portraits, it's an emotion. Yeah, you could have a baby without having the pictures done, but isn't it great when you can do them?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So just to recap, you need to know who that ideal client is. You need to nail your messaging, need to choose the media channels that are going to reach them, and then you need to cultivate referral partners. This is kind of marketing 101, but I will tell you, even us professional marketers need to come back and refresh ourselves on the basics here, and spend your time fishing where the fish are, because that's what's going to really pay off. So we have shared quite a bit, but I'm going to stop and just see if there's any aha moments, any things that jump out. Did anyone get an action item out of this that they think is going to move them forward, help their business? And yes, you will receive a copy of the presentation, as well as a copy to a link to the recording by tomorrow. Any thoughts, Cindy?
I am really happy with it. I mean, I think I'm on the right path. I don't know if this will work, but so I have these postcards, and I don't know if that shows up for you guys.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, anyway, it says, doesn't your pet deserve a custom portrait? So that's what I've been using. Celebrate your love for your baby, your favorite fur baby, or honor the memory of a beloved pet that is no longer by your side. But I think utilizing people who have already gotten portraits done, which has really been my biggest source of reference so far. I mean, it's been word of mouth. And So I think, and I haven't even encouraged that. So I think if I encourage
I think if you encourage it, honestly, I think that you could walk around with those postcards to dog parks within driving distance. I mean, just go where the people with the pets are.
Right. Well, that's what yeah, for the ones I picked out, it was like dog walkers, vet clinics, groomers, you know, any pet groups, things like that. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you were here. Anyone else feel inspired?
I've realized that my ideal client is an awful referral partner because they like to hide me from other potential clients so that I stay available to them. So
That's pretty
something for
funny.
me to think about.
It's true.
Most of my in the 28 years I've had my sign business, to this day, 95% of my work is still through word of mouth and referrals. I mean, I have websites, I have the pour it on epoxy. It's a service of American Graffiti Signs. It's not a separate business. But I do have a website for each, and for that too. It seems like when we post something on Facebook, that's when my phone starts ringing.
Well, and
from
here's what
epoxy.
I'll say about your 95% of your business coming from referrals, and you know, word of mouth. Word of mouth is good, but if you didn't have a website that showed your work, you wouldn't get the deal. So it's a multifaceted thing, right? It's like, oh, look at what he did for that store. Don't you think that would be cool for us? And this is that testimonial about it. I've been doing this internet thing so long that my hair wasn't gray when I started. And in the beginning, people were like, I don't need a website. And I was like, guess what? You do, because people make purchase decisions based on looking for different information. Remember, we talked about the multiple touches. So maybe for a divorce therapist and a financial planner, that referral is enough to close the deal, but still they're going to look at the website. They're going to see if you're real. They're going to do a Google search to see what else comes up about you. So you need to have the different facets all in place. All right. Next month, a replicable sales process. I think it'll be great. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate your coming and being part of this lively event and sharing especially. And we'll see you next month. I'll send you the recording. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you.
Goodbye.